Yeah, that kind of it kind of went as I expected.
What?
Except that I didn't want to
Why
jump
did
in
the
too
other guy
much.
leave?
But what's that?
Why did the other partner leave? Like, why didn't he come?
He never got back. He said he was interested, and then he never got back to us after we tried to solidify the time and date. So, yeah. But I mean, this only solidifies the fact that these people don't seem to really want to talk about any of the technical stuff, and I'm not sure why that is, because that's why I have the science people be in here to talk about the technical stuff.
Fiona doesn't look at all impressed.
No, Vienna's in the live feed going, God damn, this guy's dodging like a motherfucker. She's like, this is like playing dodgeball.
That was.
I kept trying to, Fiona, I kept trying to get him back on path, and I just couldn't do it. I mean, how do you jump from things like, okay, phylogeny to all of a sudden Hitler?
I know that
was
really,
odd.
really annoyed me because you said, "Is anybody get any questions?" So I put that one in, and we go heckle.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with heckle. The fact of the matter, the whole point of that is the fact that humans and the other grey apes have all got a broken gull-O gene, and it's broken in the same way.
Yeah, he didn't understand it, and I wasn't going to press it because he didn't know what it was, and it wasn't fair to really kind of grill him on it. But I don't know how he got Haeckel out of that. That was just weird.
Just the mention of phylogeny. That was all it was.
Well, okay, but that's still weird.
Because Haeckel phylogeny recapitulate ontogeny, or the other way around.
The other
I can't
around,
remember.
Yeah.
That was. It was like he heard a word and just homed in on it.
Oh, that was brutal. Well, that's when I wanted, Dr. Lawrence or somebody else. By the way, we had looked at some of Dr. Lawrence's stuff, and it was pretty bad too. He's a chiropractor. He definitely was not a physicist, because General and I kind of looked it over. I think Rumpus did too. It was nonsensical. But I mean, it's better than nobody. But he knows Anderson. He knows other people, so maybe he can get Dr. Anderson to come in, because I think that's something that everybody wants to see. Because I keep telling people, look, we can go through a bunch of people that are kind of in science, but that's not going to do us any good until we get the actual people that wrote this stuff, like Hopkins or Humphreys, right? Because you guys would be thrilled if I got them in here to cross examine them, right?
Yeah, but I think that's the problem. They're not going to. I mean, if they had enough confidence in what they've published, or on their sites, they would have published in a peer-reviewed publication.
Well, according to Paul, they were all published, and I was like, I don't think you're understanding what it means to be published.
Exactly.
And just because you're in a manuscript somewhere that's something's out there in the sphere of influence doesn't mean that's a public journal. And I don't think he understood what we meant by publication.
Yeah, I actually found his closing comment rather offensive on behalf of Han.
Specifically in regard to what?
What, on me?
Yeah, because you had said, you're a Christian as well and all the rest of it, and you got that thing about not everybody who says that, and I just thought, yep, here we go.
Because he's tying the creationism into salvational issues.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that.
And I thought,
I don't really catch up on those. Like, I don't really catch those little subtle hints, sort of thing. So
yeah, I just thought that was no way to end it at all. No,
I switched off, so I missed that.
I actually doubt he was an all Earth creationist. I actually doubt that. You can't become a young Earth creationist from an all Earth position.
Yeah, I can't imagine that either. Very, very difficult. And
well, there are a few who have claimed it.
Possibly, I mean, very, very difficult. But I mean, that for somebody who claims to know science, I would find it to be very difficult. But he was lost in everything that I brought up to him. In fact, if you noticed, when I asked him a question, he literally did not address the question. He went to something else in his comfort zone,
Hitler.
which was not, well, even before Hitler. I mean, how many times did I had to ask him about DDX11L2 and gene expression?
Well,
Never
he
touched
didn't.
on
He
it.
clearly didn't understand anything about that subject. So it was a bit of a.
Which is weird because 2 weeks out, I talked to him in the last 2 weeks and said that's what the questions. I said, you're not going to be sharpshooted. These are the questions they're going to be asking, specifically in regards to gene expression, DDX11L2. I gave him all things advanced, right? And he was not asked any question tonight that I said that I wasn't prepared to talk about. We weren't going to talk about. So he didn't get sharpshooted at all. He said he would familiarize himself. And that's why I asked him, did you have a chance to do that? And he said, yeah, I read Tompkins stuff. Okay, well, we have two, but that doesn't answer our questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a bit poor on that, wasn't he?
Yeah. The thing is, though, I mean, not everybody can be an absolute expert in every subject under the sun.
Yes, which is a bit odd why he said. I couldn't understand why he brought up the subject of why you haven't asked him about it. Then, if I'd been in his position and not been comfortable with the subject, I was not mentioned it. Or if the subject had come up and said, "Well, can we not talk more about my pamphlet?" But he seemed to be willing to talk about anything, which I suppose is good. But it was a bit odd.
But reading Tompkins' work is not an answer.
And the other thing is, I'll say this for him: he had guts. He really did. And that's something that seems to be lacking in other quarters.
Yeah, he seemed quite likable. So
I would not put him. Yeah, I would not relate him to the CCP if that's what you're saying. No, he had former balls than they have.
I mean, I was half inclined to just ridicule young Earth creation, saying it's just concentrated idiocy and no one with an IQ above 100 at the end. But I thought, well,
no, there's no point in
biting
that.
his tongue so hard.
He's bleeding.
I did want to be.
I mean, there are ways of saying things, and I mean, if you're wanting people to come on and discuss things, then you can't really go down that route.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be personal abuse about it, but I did want to. I do think possibly got a little bit away with it. We didn't point out the absolute idiocy of that pamphlet in every regard, and I possibly felt I should have not let him get away with getting away with that. But I could. So the point is, I'd focus on the issues, not on him, but say this is just.
I think people were aware that that pamphlet was just complete crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. What fascinates me is that throughout the debate, he goes, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe I've got homework to do. Oh, email me this." And yet, at the end of when he gave him the last word, he goes, "Oh, I've got 100 evidences that the universe is young."
That was true.
Obviously, referring to his pamphlet. I'm thinking, then you should be able to respond to everything you just said in the last 3 hours. Like if you've done your homework.
Good point.
Yeah, I think, Steve, you needed to possibly say, we're going to talk about these 5 points in the next hour, then these next 5 points in the next hour or something to sort of formalize it a bit more so we could...
It was structured, but then it kind of went into it.
Well, see, the point was he was supposed to be able to answer the question, and I was going to have you guys answer it afterwards, but I spent some more time not moderating. I had to get involved because he wasn't answering the question, and I'm like, I'm not going to have this like any other hangout where we get people on and don't answer the questions.
Yeah,
that's exactly what he was doing.
Technically, the moderator does actually get involved like that, and that is legitimate. So,
yeah, I would like to have you guys more, but I had to get it to you guys. I'd throw you the ball, and he kept taking the ball and throwing it out of bounds. It's like, like stay on topic.
And I was also being a bit tentative. I didn't want to be getting a bit bullying towards the start, so I was trying to be a little bit letting him have his own space because perhaps I might be a little bit more forceful.
But a refutation is not just reading Tompkins' work. It's like that's my point to him. We wanted to address it, not just read Tompkins' work. We all could do that.
Oh, I've got one question for people about this shellac. When we have these samples and things that he got, I mean, that bloody started off with that Miller acquiring those bloody things dishonestly. But if you do acquire a fossil that is covered in shellac or whatever, presumably the middle of it. This is why I hadn't addressed in the hangout. But if you can get in the middle of it, presumably you can avoid the contamination of the shellac or any other thing around the side. If you've got a lump of fossil big enough, presumably you could drill into it, get the bit that you want, and get that out. But I didn't.
Yes, but the shellac one, what was provided were tiny pieces that had
Oh,
broken
right.
off.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And they were the chap that they were given to was told these are not suitable
Yes,
for dating.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And in fact, you forget how small that I was just reading somewhere on those AMS tests. They actually don't do anything. They don't put samples in these things that are more than is it a hundredth of a gram? Sorry, a hundredth of a milligram. They're tiny. They insist on absolutely tiny little samples. So when people are thinking they're giving out these things, it's incredible how small they're basically the level they're operating on. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
We didn't ask him, and I should have, because I've asked other young earthers, is that if he wants things tested, young earth creationists, there's a lot of people out there would pay large sums of money to debunk evolution. Why aren't they all flooding to him going, hey, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this?
Yeah, the censor issue they kept on bringing up was right. Who's censoring? You said, asked him several times about the data. I didn't think that really worked because we were not quite sure he had the data or who had the data and what data you're expecting. I mean, though we did obviously have this and what it would have proved anyway. I mean, the fact that if they got a false, I mean, fundamentally, you can't get a sensible reading out of something that's 63 million years old or whatever, 68 million years old. So the idea that by getting the data from the AMS testing would result in anything useful is, I don't think is a good point, because we're giving, they specifically say, give this is just bollocks, you're just going to get the background level from the carbon-14, so it's completely pointless. It doesn't matter what results you get back from the lab, it's going to be bollocks.
Yeah, no, I agree, and he didn't understand.
He didn't bring up Steve Austin, did he, in Mount St. Helens?
No, I thought he would, but we didn't get that to it. That is in his pamphlet, Mount St. Helens. But yeah, that's in there. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I tuned in a wee bit late, but oh no, if that had come up, I'd have had a flat forehead by now.
Well, that is in his pamphlet. That's one of the things he does talk about.
Is that in the pamphlet?
Yes.
Which oh god, you went to look out for that. Damn it,
I already closed it out, but yeah.
No, so I've got it here, so I can.
It's in there.
I was looking out for that. Oh, you're right. There was one on Mount St. Helens, wasn't there? Yes.
Yes.
Oh, right. Yes, in that pamphlet. Yes, right.
A bugbear of mine, that is.
Oh, where's it gone? Yeah, I can look at that.
Well, that's what it is with all of it, though. I mean, every one of these claims is just they don't stand up to scientific scrutiny, and that's why, again, all they do is get scallop and move to some other topic rather than focus on the actual question at hand. Yeah, so you brought the science, General. You had everything. You brought the science. You brought the box plots. He didn't contest any of it. He didn't.
So I must admit, I was quite well done, General. I thought you did you had some good resources ready there. I must admit, because I haven't done one of these before, I was taking a bit of time to get up to speed on the various issues and learning who bloody Miller was and these other things. I didn't have time to get all the presentations I wanted. So you did. You were ready to go on that. So that was well done.
Yeah, that's all right. As Steve says, I'm very methodical. So.
What software were you holding all those documents in? Because I could see down the left-hand side you had a column of things, and then it came out, and you brought up occasionally tabs. It wasn't a browser; it was something else.
Yeah, no, that one is actually called Logos Library. That's more for theological books, actually. But there's a whole collection of science books in there as well. But yeah, it's something that it's actually very old. This is back in 2006, I think. This came out.
It's a sort of book browsing application.
Yeah, it's like an offline digital library.
Right.
Think like Kindle, but on the computer, and really efficient.
Yeah, because I've got all these bloody browser tabs, and half my problem is actually getting to the one I want. I've got about 60 open on this bloody. I've got about 300 actually, but in the window that was relevant to the Hangout, I had about 60, and I could never find anything. You set up something, and I could never find the damn thing. It's just incredible. Whereas your little browser window of resources would be bloody useful to me.
Well, overall consensus is Paul looked really, really bad. Nice guy, but I mean, I think he did probably worse than Jay Hall. Remember Jay Hall that came in and we had this little thing with him. I think Paul did. Probably Jay was a nice guy too. I actually like Jay. We're supposed to have part 2 coming up here, so he will come back. I have been in contact with him, but
to be honest, I think
just didn't do very well.
Didn't Jay actually get involved more in actually dialogue, like when we started talking about population growth models, he started to go, actually, yeah, let's discuss the math behind
Yeah, he
that.
gave us.
Like,
Yeah, right. He at least gave us something to talk about. Right.
yeah.
That's
And
what I'm saying.
do you
Paul, I
think
think did worse.
who's this other guy, Troy, right?
Yeah, Troy Lawrence.
Yeah, do you think he would have done any better than Paul?
Nope.
Or even worse?
Nope.
You
read his stuff. Or was it the Rumpus?
Yeah, no, but that's my point. I predict worse because of what I've read so far. Like you saw me rant in the PM in regards
yeah,
to
that's right. General's in the middle of the night, right? Because his time's like way different than mine. So it's like midnight, 12 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what the hell it was. I'm getting these text messages from General going, "What the? This guy is like just insane. He doesn't know what he's talking about." And I'm like, "Whoa, what?" He's like, "Oh, I'm looking over Lawrence's stuff." I'm like, "Oh." He's like, "Yeah, it's physics. Oh my God, this guy is like not a physicist."
Yeah, when he's trying to explain gravity wrong, you should read that first chapter. Like honestly, it's a mishmash of Wikipedia with like Webster's dictionary and then his own idea.
Oh, the radioactive thing, Paul. Oh,
no,
yes.
the very first.
I know. Sorry,
chapter
you just set me off on a semi-rant. I'm afraid, General, with that mentioning the rates of radioactivity decay is affected by this Noah's flood and leaping up and down and being thrown into space.
You know what? To be honest with you, Rumpus, we should have never moved off that. That should have been one top. We would have eventually had to, but he never addressed that either. I'd asked him, how did these things affect radiometric decays?
Yeah.
No answer. Oh,
yeah, I didn't know quite how to tackle it. It was so it's one of those things where people are so ridiculous, you don't quite know where to start. It's like saying 1 + 1 is not equal to 2. And if someone would say something like that, you're then stuck. You then have to think of going down to a lower level of thinking. Well, how can I attack this idiocy?
Because they know the talking points, right? That's it. They know the talking points. The global flood, has made all radiometric decay rates full of errors. Well, okay, how to do that?
Yeah. And there were so many points in that pamphlet. I was ready to. I prepared arguments on about 2/3 of the bloody things and links and things. So it's a pity I couldn't get more stuck into him. But then But the point was, this guy was stuck. We couldn't even get him to agree on the bloody chromosome. Here, this is what slowed us up. We couldn't. Here are two things. Do those two patterns look the same? Yes or no? No, well, and then we had to spend about, an hour just trying to get to the point where he agreed these patterns were the same, and then the idea of how to search through something. So it was such like going through treacle. It was very difficult to move on subjects when you can't even get, what's on the screen correct. And then this idea that, the picture's not right. And then once we agree on that, no, well, actually, we've got the data. We've actually got it in terms of letters. So there's not as though we can misinterpret, these physical these photographs, I think. We've actually got the data now in letter terms, in digital form. So we can know whether it's only, these diagrams we're showing you are correct and absolutely in every way. They're not some sort of misrepresentation as photography. No, we've got the bloody bases there, which we can match as though they were computer data. Digital data, which we can then compare and search in. Oh.
And can I point out something that, because some people say I may have gone a little ham on him. Let me explain why, because maybe you guys weren't aware. I had actually talked to Paul in a Hangout a couple days ago, and he had brought up some of these weird nonsensical crap. And I told him specifically, I'm like, don't do that in debate. You're gonna look really bad. Don't start getting into eugenics, or don't get in any of that crazy shit that he was bringing up. I'm like, don't do that because. Yeah, because he had brought up things like that before on the species. We had talked, and I'm like, looking, we were only interested in the science, not hyperbole.
Yeah, you were quite hard on him, I thought.
I said, don't mention Piltdown Man, don't mention Rascal Man, because we've talked. Because I have many fruit on the ground creationists. We've already dealt with this. It is ridiculously stupid. I'm looking for something a little more higher brow. Nobody in my live feed wants to talk about Piltdown Man.
It's not point of contention, is it? Yeah, it's not point of contention,
right? And it's very basic stuff. I mean, creation. If you're a noob creationist, right, you're going to be talking about Piltdown Man. Okay, you're the lowest of the level of wrong that I wanted to have a discussion with. Mm-hmm. And yet he decided to do it anyway. So I was like, dude, come on, really? That's what
I didn't realize that. Yeah, you should have said that, Steve. Actually, you should have said, didn't we agree not to talk about that? Yeah. I'm
actually thoroughly satisfied that the Bible actually wasn't even used. I mean, I'm speaking.
Yeah, you guys did okay. You guys held on that. Yeah, no, you did, and I appreciate that. If you want to have another discussion with them based upon biblical stuff, that's great. But I mean, even Rumpus was just like, okay, yeah, we'll assume God exists. Let's go from there, and then what? Okay, how does that change anything? And Rumpus did an amazing good job with that.
I did stop. I did sort of promise myself I would try and keep all that and leave it up to the general. If ever moved on to that subject, I was just going to ignore it.
But you understood why he said that, right? You get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I stuck to my promise of aligning it back to the science. And sometimes I think he may have tried to divert it, but then I was like, no, I know. And yeah, the Big Bang, he was speaking about, biblical references, and I'm just like, yeah, we know that. Let's actually just discuss the science.
That's right.
Can I ask you a question?
He was fascinated by you, Rumpus.
And he seemed to like me at the end. He said, well, goodbye to Rumpus, but sod Steve in general.
Yeah, you had to think. Who would have thought that Rumpus of all the people in the Hangout that they got along best with? Weird.
Well, I like to be when I'm being offensive, I like to be objective in it. So when you said things like he never answered a single question, I like to I believe that these people are generally so appalling. You don't need to make stuff up. You can just head on for them, the stuff they do, and you can be quite accurate about it without having to sort of say.
Well, I meant scientifically. I mean, a non-answer is not you can give a non-answer, but that doesn't mean you really answered the question, right?
the Hitler one, phylogenetics, Hitler. What?
Oh, that was brutal. Wow. I think everybody in my life he just cringed and went, "What?"
But I get the impression he's a little bit on the slow side, isn't he? Because a number of times it seemed to take him about 5 goes to actually understand what was being said. And I think he misheard and then wanders off because he didn't understand.
I don't think he realised what the conversation was going to be like. That it was going to be so science heavy.
I told him though. You want to see the correspondence? I don't
mean science heavy. I mean that you were going to be so well informed.
Oh, okay.
That's I mean.
General doesn't mess around, man. He goes for the jugular.
He didn't.
But that's why I highly doubt he was originally an old Earth creation. Like honestly, I think. Okay, I could be judging, but I think he's lying though.
No, I would.
No, I don't think he's either. I wouldn't either.
I don't know.
What I think is this. I think he was an old Earth creationist, but didn't know anything about old Earth creationism. I think he just kind of accepted it.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to know much about science. His math might be okay. I don't know, but he teaches math. But
does he?
Yeah, he teaches calculus.
Oh my God! And there I was trying to explain to. I thought I was having a problem trying to explain to him about bloody the probability and the fact these 2 patterns, which consisted of 240 bases, and he was struggling away trying to get. I was thinking, why am I having 10 minutes spending on this trying to get this simple probabilistic issue out the bloody way? And he wouldn't come forward. I was fighting with him.
Yeah, that's why I asked him about the A equals V squared and R. Like something that's just a simple differential equation, and I asked him a question: as R increases in the denominator, what happens with A? And he didn't answer that. It's very simple.
I did. Smaller. Get smaller, right?
Yeah. So it's just I don't know. I was just thinking it's a second order differentiation for acceleration, and now you're including circular dynamics where you're having V squared on R, and then it's just one of those. Okay, Steve has told me he teaches calculus. He should know this.
Yeah, I didn't get the impression he was mathematically competent.
Well, it was funny when I mentioned factors the other day because again, somebody had mentioned that younger creationists don't know scale, and I know what whoever said that, you're a genius.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's so true. They don't know scale at all. They don't understand it. They do not get everything they have. Every creationist I've ever met, you're the creationist I met, has that same inability to understand scale. And when I had mentioned him before, I said, look, you've got a Hatersaurus that is 39,000 years according to you, Vice 10,000. Okay, that is 100% off. I mean, even the one he gave me was like 29,000 years. I'm like, you're 300% difference at this point. You're well outside any standard parameters for what you would consider to be a viable model length. Right? So it's not even. It invalidates younger creationism. They don't get that. They're like, oh, well, it's close. It's like, no. If your model's 7,000 to 10,000 years old and you're getting ranges of 20 to 30,000, you're well outside that range. Nobody in the world would accept that as a valid model, right? I mean, it's just too far out of the parameters.
Yeah, the pamphlet's full of that, isn't it? I mean, those datings they had on things like the dinosaurs of 25,000, all throughout that pamphlet, you could easily tackle it from the point of view of saying, well, you believe this has got a limit to 10,000, and so many dates in there were in the sort of tens of thousands. But I'm happy to just stick with dealing with their accusations that it's different from our value because I'm so confident, obviously, in what we're doing.
But if
Right,
you're expecting 10,000 years and you're getting 20, you're already 100% more than what you expected.
Yeah.
I mean, what modeling works that way?
Yeah. Pamphlet was
Yeah,
full of that.
I was ready. Honestly, I was ready to talk about. So I know we were obviously going to talk about the soft dinosaur tissue. The radiocarbon cover-up. Now that one was, quite evident. We discussed that. I was ready to talk about dinosaur and human tracks. Footprints together. Then the fallacious dino dragon.
Oh,
then the 800-year-old carving. I was going to talk about that. Then dinosaur and Joe would have been.
How about Draconius Hogwartsia?
human population.
That's in there. Draconia Hogwartsia is in there. The dragons exist.
Yeah, that's right. Hogwartsia. Yes.
Yeah, human
population.
population. That's again very simple. Mitochondrial leave is totally misunderstood.
Genetic time bomb, yeah, that was one I prepared quite a bit on that genetic time bomb, basically about deleterious mutations.
Oh, good.
Then what I was really preparing was the helium. Like if you go to 21, helium. He's titled here, "Helium Challenges Goliaths."
Yes.
See, I haven't looked in ages. We had talked about that with Jay Hall. We had talked about the zirconium diffusion rate.
Yes, you had. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had brushed up on it. But I'm not able to get into any detail on it now because I've forgotten what I brushed up on, except for the fact that he didn't use the right formulas and he didn't use the right model.
Yeah, and thankfully I did, in fact, just bring that up as a side point, which refutes that claim at least. So.
Yeah, you really on the case with that one, I have to say, Dan. That was, you did particularly well there. That was because I'd superficially gone through it and all the other things I was trying to cover. I was trying to read through an Earth storybook that I've got. It was about 90 pages in the last couple of days, which I haven't managed to get through. And I didn't have to. And I saw bits of that zircon stuff and went through it. But yeah, that paper you had on it, bloody hell, that was.
Trevor London likely just summed it.
Yeah,
Trevor Lum just summed it up brilliantly. He said, "Steve, I laughed out loud when Paul said, I don't know, ask God." And that really was the summation of everything. It's like, really, he's like, I don't know, but God did it that way. Well, how are we talking about the science if you say God did it that way? Well, I say God didn't do it that way. How do we determine you're right? Let's look at the science.
Yeah. And the irony of that statement is when he said Jesus is truth. Well, here's the thing. Again, going back to that Logos discussion we were having, Steve, the very foundation, in my opinion, in my Christian faith, is that Christ will be evident if you live a life of truth. So, Paul, you stated that Jesus is truth. Okay, for you to then just say, "Oh, God did it," you're not actually living a life of truth, and you're being very, disingenuous in that.
Well, I don't like the fact that what Fiona said was true. He said that, basically he was trying to snipe out that basically if you don't accept young creations, then you're not a true Christian, and basically you're not, being of the truth. And yet my point was exactly the opposite, that, wait, if God wants everybody to know truth, then you should be able to go out and find it. And that people that educate themselves and go out and study the stuff should be able to get to some bottom of some things. And when you're telling all these people that are educated that everything they know is wrong and cannot demonstrate why they're wrong, I don't think that's being very Christ-like. I think that's being deceptive.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. And so that's why, Steve, I applaud the fact that you were constantly encouraging, like, look at the evidence we're showing you. Like, we're passionately taking our time to show you this stuff. And as a Christian, he should have gone, you know what, I should take the principle of Jesus, looking for the truth, that sort of thing. It'll set you free. And he didn't do that. He was just, ignoring it.
Yeah,
I have a problem.
Right.
So I had a problem when, if somebody, you want to be a young earth creationist and all the rest of it, fine, you be my guest. But when you start trying to say, and I can prove it with science, or trying to use the science, that's when the problems begin. Because the only way that they can prove it with science is when they bastardize science. So that's where I have a problem. It's not a problem with young earth creationism as a an article of faith. Somebody can decide to go down that route based on faith and faith alone. That's great. That's fine. They can do that. I'll hold their coat. I'll encourage them. But don't say you're basing it on science. Because if you're going to give the answer to the question, why is it this way? Because God wanted it that way, or because God did it that way, then you've left the science, which means your claim of being able to use the science has fallen flat on its face. And that doesn't look good.
Apologies, Fiona, for not remembering how many bloody bases there are on a chromosome.
Oh, listen, I didn't know how many were on it either.
Yeah, who would know? I had to look that up. It was 240. I'm never going to forget that. There's 242 million base pair on chromosome 2. I'm never going to forget that. It's gonna be huge in my brain.
I knew it was a huge number.
Yeah, I would have no idea.
I mean, some genes, you know, when you include the introns, you're talking about 30,000 bases.
Well, you know what's funny? He even said 85%, right? Which I agree would be an extremely low number. That's still well over 200 million. That's similar on that one gene. I mean, that one chromosome. I'm like, that's a lot to account for.
Right.
And then he didn't understand. He didn't seem to understand really phylogeny. So how would you get any other kind of things like proteomics or any other things that relate things over a period of time related to speciation? You couldn't even go down that route. The molecular clock, mitochondrial DNA.
Yes.
You couldn't cytochrome C. You couldn't even address any other argument because he doesn't understand how things are related, right? In a hierarchical branch system. So
that is one of the problems when you try and discuss this.
Yep.
If someone doesn't have the knowledge to actually be able to understand what it is you're explaining to them, and you've got to go way back to the very basics, and you could end up spending hours doing that.
And that's what was happening. That's what I wanted to avoid.
Yeah, it took an hour.
I'll show you.
I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, everybody in here knows way more about genetics than I'll ever know. I get that. I totally understand that. But I at least have a high school understanding of it. Basic, even entry-level college. I have a basal understanding. But Jesus Christ, if he's going to have come in here and talk about genetics, I would expect his level to be at least be equivalent to mine or higher. Yeah. Right. I'm like the litmus test. Okay. Because I know you guys.
Come on, Steve. You're better than that, Steve. But it'd be great if you could bring in Anderson or Tompkins.
But I'm cool with that, right? I'm very cool with that because I have the litmus test.
If you could drag in Anderson or Tompkins, that would be quite something.
That would be awesome. Well, I've talked to Tompkins. I mean, not Tompkins. I've talked to Anderson. And Anderson is really rude, by the way. Just not a nice guy. But
excellent! I like that. I could really handle that.
Yeah, no. If we get Anderson in here, you guys can go ape shit on each other. He's not a very pleasant person.
Steve, question I've put it in the side chat for you.
Which side chat? Outside?
No.
No, she means group chat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
You can type your answer on the side.
By the way, I'll also say where he got that 85%. So here, our paper is dated from 96 down to 05, and obviously there's recent ones since then. But notice the homology here. When we're speaking about the indels, there's the 87%. But notice that the sample size was only 1.87 million. Now the consortium paper that had a 2.7 billion sample size, it ranged all the way back up to 95% again.
Yeah, we should have hammered him a bit and said, where did he get this? Well, he claimed Tompkins had come up with this 80%, didn't he? 85%, didn't he?
Yeah. So I should have.
Yeah, we should have honed it. Yeah, we let him get away with that, actually, not providing. Where do you get this bloody 85%, whatever it was you said? Please tell us why you think that. Give us the info. Yeah, we let him get away with that.
I should have. No, he didn't get it from. I had this ready. I should have brought this up.
He didn't get it from Tompkins. Tompkins' new number is 88.
So it's creeping up then.
Yeah.
Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you notice again, all he did was do what any other younger creationist did. They parrot the younger creationist scientists, right? But they don't explain it. That's what I'm getting tired of. I mean, that's what I specifically gave him warning about before. I said, look, we want you, Anderson or Lawrence or anybody else, to explain why Tompkins is right. Not to say that he's right, but explain it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I didn't mean to be short. I mean, but after 2 hours of this, it's like, okay, I'm getting a little bit annoyed because he didn't really pay attention to what I was telling him earlier. I think there's a little bit of a slowness going on or something, maybe age. I don't know, but he basically jumped back into everything I kind of told him don't bother with.
I think maybe it was sort of, in a way, refuge, because he wasn't managing to deal with the questions that were coming up.
Was it as a parent? I mean, was it that apparent to live feed?
I think it was.
Yeah, I mean, the fact it took us an hour to get through that bloody comparing 2 chromosomes, whether they were similar, that really,
I didn't even knew that was a point of contention. I don't even think Tompkins would really say those contentions, would it? Would he?
Well, it seems to me if you accept that, you've got to accept there's a fusion event. How can you not? If you accept the things that 99.99% similar, you can't with any understanding of maths and probability claim that it's not the same. These two are not the same thing.
There are other explanations, but they require supernatural causation.
That's That's
where Tompkins and them would basically going down. They'd be saying, okay, that it looks like PT 2 and 12 and 13 or 2A, 2B because God made it look that way, but he created human chromosome number 2, whole. He created it. Yeah. I guess in situ would be the case. I don't know.
He created it by joining them. This is what I don't get.
He could. That's another option, right?
Quite exactly. So yeah, if they go for the God did it thing, they're obviously that always trumps any argument you can have. Yeah.
But that's the point. You don't need to deny that it's a fusion.
Well, he's trying to invalidate common descent. This is odd. That was a very odd thing. He didn't understand why we were making an issue of it, and it's because we were trying to prevent the attack on common descent. We were trying. Oh, very frustrating.
I almost wept at that point.
And he also seemed to have an enormous problem on us giving him the number of the point in his pamphlet and then him finding it. I mean, he was having some basic problems.
I've been pointing out that. Yeah, I've been pointing out the first line. He didn't know it was Carl Baugh that he had mentioned.
Point number 1. Point number 2. Yeah. Oh no, you mean point number 1? No, not point.
But it's somebody another hangout. I don't remember where it was, but somebody was saying along the lines of it was a creationist. I think it was Rand Campbell in it was Rand Campbell's and True's hangout like a couple days ago. I watched a bit of it. By the way, one of the most boring hangouts I've ever seen in my entire life. True, your hangouts have gone to beyond shit. We're on different levels of shit. I mean, this was the dumbest freaking hangout he's had in this year. I mean, it was just silly.
That's quite a challenge. That's quite a challenge.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was just dumb. It was Joe Sansky.
Is that the hangout where Rand seems to know how often I go to mass?
Yeah. Rand was just he was just he was just going off.
You've been hacked, Fiona. You've been hacked.
It was comical. I was listening, going, I hope Fiona gets a kick out of this because this is fucking retarded.
It was ridiculous.
But long story short, he did say something that I thought was kind of funny. He said along the lines, well, if God did all this, then that invalidates evolution. And he said because you have to have only a teleonomic explanation. And I thought about that. I'm like, no. The reasoning evolution wouldn't be falsified if God did do all this is because evolution states that we can explain this without invoking God, but it doesn't state that we wouldn't be able to explain it with God. Right? There's nothing in any scientific theory that says, you know what, if God did all this, it doesn't change the model. The model says, look, we can explain this teleonomically without having to invoke God. Right? That's what a teleonomics thing is. But if we do invoke God, if God does exist, it doesn't invalidate the model. The model works just as well either way.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to realize that. They just completely don't get that. Rumpus even understood that when I said, Rumpus, let's assume God exists for the point of this debate and go from there because it's not going to change the science. And Rumpus is like, okay. He did his British little thing and then he got it.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point I've been making, and it just seems to fly over their head, plop onto the wall. That I'm not arguing with people to say that God didn't do it. What we're arguing about is how he did it.
And he didn't do it in 7 days.
I think
Yeah,
we're still,
7 years.
I think he still entertained people, Steve, with the Hangout. I think even though it was a bit slow in places, I think it
everybody
was
loved
still.
it.
Yeah, I think. Oh, good. Okay.
I have all positive reviews. I haven't heard anybody in the live feed or anybody else who was negative
Excellent.
review
Okay,
whatsoever.
good. Well, that's a great. Even though it was a bit slow, we had to spend an hour bloody explaining in the two patterns matching, and I think because obviously some people aren't familiar with the human chromosome 2, so perhaps recovering this thing a few times didn't do any harm for the people who are watching it. Not everybody's.
No,
going
you're going to get some CCP member that eventually comment going, "Oh, look at that youngest creations. He destroyed you guys."
Oh no.
Okay, whatever, dude. Yeah.
I think that's going to be a struggle even for a clown car posse member. Actually, that one.
No, it's
No,
not.
but
You don't think so?
No.
No, nothing but that's a struggle for them.
And it's funny. I like, again, I want to get this channel where we're getting special events every other Friday, and I've got other ones lined up. So we are going to be doing this every other Friday, hopefully, eventually every Friday. But it's still a nice change of pace rather than just bitching about Ronnie, which, by the way, is fun to do too. But Joe, come on, Joe, you would admit it. You would be bored if we didn't bitch about Ronnie every so often. Come on, Joe.
Well, I'm annoyed by it because I can't even do it. He won't even let me talk to him, so I can't come.
You're excluded.
Well, me either. I'm blocked. I block across the line. He won't let me talk to him.
So am I.
Yeah, we're all blocked. So don't feel
I
bad.
can't even see his G+ posts.
It seems like you guys have had the chance. I think once back in February, I debated him, and that was it. At least you guys have like.
He took that one down.
Standing. Yeah, he took it down too. That's the other thing. He won't even let me in his room. Oh, it's a bummer. Like he'll make a big deal if you guys go into his room, right?
Never
Can you
happened.
remember what it was called, Joe?
Oh, I don't even remember. I have it on my Hangout on mine because Hitch
Right.
recorded it. But the issue is Hitch only started recording it about 20 minutes in. So my main case isn't covered. And so that's why I'm really annoyed that he just took it down. He wouldn't even let me have
the name of it.
Not his, but maybe I have it linked in my info, and maybe I have the name of it in my info. Let me check.
Well, anybody have it? Let us know if anybody has the debate that he had. I remember it, but I don't have a copy of it.
Yeah, I did. What sucks is I have like a stronger case now, and it sucks. He won't debate. It's a bummer that these guys are such cowards, because you can't. You go through the trouble trying to understand this stuff, trying to research it, trying to figure out how to address the issues they bring up. But because they're just a bunch of cowards and they apparently aren't interested in learning more about it, you can't go in and defend the things that they're crapping on all the time.
Joe,
Ronnie invited me into his room a week or so ago. Said, "Come on in if you're hard enough." Effectively, and I thought, no. Given how he abuses his mods, I'm sorry, it's just too much. I'm not going to risk.
Joe,
that.
do you think they've even gotten more cowders? Because I think the amount of cowardice they're displaying has been growing exponentially over the last year. Because now they literally only sit in their own little echo chamber. Don't allow other people in. They'll let like, I don't mean small fish in, but people that not really heavy in science, like Brenda, who by the way did an awesome job. Brenda did way better than I ever thought she would ever do in those Hangouts. But she's not a science person, and they'll let her in, but they won't allow CRISPR or something like that to really have an engaging conversation. And I've noticed that. And then or Phonobeetle Maniac. Why would they?
I think it has gotten. I mean, Ronnie used to go into Nadia's Hangouts. A little less than a year ago, him and I had an interaction in Nadia's Hangouts, and it didn't go too well for him. But he used to go into Hangouts that weren't, his own. Earlier, I was in Brett Keen's Hangout trying to help a white belt that Darwin's was picking on, and I got kicked. But before that, there was what's his name? Veckel was in there. And I think a couple other people were in there. G-Man was in there, but I don't think that counts because G-Man doesn't like Darwin's deity either. So that's a little bit different. But the thing is, you're right. They'll only stay in their own little hangouts, or they'll go into ones that are clearly where they'll get a chance to defend themselves, or not. let me start over with that statement. They'll only stay in their hangouts, or they'll only go into hangouts where they know they can't be touched by people like you guys or like myself. Like Darwin was in there going, I know a lot about philosophy of science, okay? And it's like, oh, well, you just kicked the one person who could shut you down on it. So what does that say about yourself?
Yeah.
Well, Steve, what did you think about my debate with True Criticism yesterday?
Dude, that's a
You
very
debated
phallic
him?
symbol thing. That's a very phallic picture.
Yeah, they didn't like that.
Wow. Damn. I know about your Australians.
I remember saying,
What were your-
you guys are
I was completely distracted by his question. What was his photo? What was your question?
the Bible thumping wingnutters didn't really like this picture.
Nut-
And I told them, I'm like, so you're upset?
Oh
that
yeah,
this
the Jesus
sexy-
photo, but this may be worse.
Yeah, they didn't like your tesseract. They don't like jar starfish.
What?
Yeah, they think starfish. Like, I think it's like how does a starfish talk or something? I don't know.
What?
Joe, you got shit for your star. Who was giving you shit for having a starfish?
I don't
Come
think
on,
anyone
just like the other
has,
day.
but
Oh,
the
bullshit.
reason
The other
why
day.
someone
What?
actually go ahead.
Fiona, I actually see my Jesus photo here. I got booted because I asked a very simple question. Why are you having a problem? Because they're saying, oh, it's a sinful image. And I was like, well, Jesus was actually naked on the cross. Then I asked them the question. I said, are you sinning sexually? Like maybe a homoerotic form of sexual thought that you're having? The moment I asked that question, I was booted. So I don't know why they even have to make such, points of contention like that.
Fiona uses a Chi-Rho symbol, a Catholic Chi-Rho Christogram,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, well, that is satanic. It's like that's a Christogram.
No, it's not. It's Christos. It's the Greek.
Yes, Christos, Chi-Rho.
Yeah.
So how is that demonic? That's a very established
Well,
symbol.
do you not
And they're
remember
like,
the one I had before it was the Eiffel Tower?
I
And
remember
there was
that
a
one.
cross. There was a cross
Yeah.
supporting it.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I was
that's
told that
Satan right
that
there.
was a demonic. That was a cross of Nero and all this. No, it's the Eiffel Tower with
Oh
a
my
cross
God.
supporting it.
Nothing more satanic than the French.
That's true.
But,
You have a point there.
Did you see my debate with True Prism yesterday, Steve? Like, what do you think about that?
Yes, I was watching some of it. Well, first of all, again, Ronnie and them don't understand you. Okay, they just dismiss what you're saying outright. Now we don't do that. We may disagree, but we know that you are very literate. You are well studied. You don't just fabricate shit. In fact, you try to be meticulous. I think you're the kind of person like me. When you're doing something like that and you make a mistake, you get kind of pissed off. So I think you really want to have things perfectly when it comes to actual coursework and actual science. I mean, when I was in school, if I got a 98, I actually got pissed because I was like, freaking A, because I missed something I thought was easy. I'd rather get like an 85 or something. So I know you do your research really well. They were so lost in the conversation, and then all they were doing is just giving you an argument from incredulity. That's all they did.
Yeah.
They didn't address anything that you said. Did you notice? Except the one guy. The one guy was funny.
The reason why I continued that for a whole hour is I was actually testing. Let's just stay patient and calm, and let's see how what I realized, it was like a science experiment. The longer it went, they were getting more animated because I was staying calmer the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who was that other guy in there? Christian something. What was his name?
C. Brown was in there. Antonio was in there. True Prism
Another
was
guy.
there.
I don't
Wayne
know
was
his name.
there.
No, it's a new guy.
And Christian, some guy named Christian.
Right.
Now, I will say this, Steve. When the Hangout finished, it went on for maybe another 2 hours. I don't know, maybe an hour or two. And Hunter and Wayne left, but Hunter was witness right to the end that I continued my patience with C. Brown, and I kid you not, C. Brown actually the penny started to drop, where he started to see, hang on a second, I'm actually looking at the text, and maybe you have a point, General. And he actually conceded basically a non-young earth creationist point of view. But then he did say, I have to do my homework. But that's the thing, though. I wonder now, since I've been able to peer a crack in that maybe graciously we can continue that work and, bring him out of that or something.
He's a git.
Yeah, you're a lot more optimistic than I would be, because we've already established that C. Brown is dishonest. That's nobody can even just deny that anymore. He plagiarizes outright. He doesn't care. He basically, if you talk to him about something, he basically doesn't have a clue what's going on. Just throws out words. Isaiah has annihilated him so many times I couldn't even count. So I don't really trust anything that C. Brown would even say in regards to his. We'll look into things. I think you have far more optimism than I would ever have about trying to show C. Brown the light, because I just don't think he's bright enough to understand basic stuff.
Then again, it could be never late than never.
Possibly.
Well, what's that? That's the phrase.
Better late than never.
Never late than never, or something.
Better late than never.
Better late than never.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I have got absolutely no interest in what does or doesn't happen with C. Brown, because as far as I'm concerned, he's a sexist creep.
Yeah, that was creepy. I saw what he had wrote, and it's a Fiona. I was like, oh my god, it was fucking ridiculous. I was like, what?
I haven't tried to listen to it because I know it would just.
I mean, he took my creep factor and he multiplied it by 1 million. Okay, I mean, it was
a comment.
Fucking strange.
It was a comment in a thread. It was a thing about him plagiarizing. And
very relevant.
I posted a comment, and he replies to me with, "Hi there, honey. And I've uploaded my photograph so that you can see it and we can get to know each other better."
What?
Yeah, it was that's exactly what it said. I mean, verbatim. She's got it memorized, which is disturbing itself. But yeah, it was just what the fuck moment.
He did.
Yeah.
Okay. He did say something like, I don't know. Yeah, in the when it went off air, he did say something
General,
like,
what are you doing after this?
Hey, well, I do that too. Hey, General.
No. He said something about, oh, I've had a girl approach me for sex, but I declined, or something like that. And I forget now what context that was in, but he did say something like that.
Okay.
Well, he also then posted.
I'm trying to connect the same vocabulary as what Fiona's getting at. So.
Yeah, well.
Just random things like that.
Fiona, did you give him your digits?
Well, he then went on to say, somebody mentioned it was creepy, and Fiona's a married woman. And then we get the comment, what? Why didn't you tell me you're married, Fiona?
Yeah, he was obviously, and he knows you're married, but he was obviously trying to start something, and I don't think he had a well-formed plan. And it made him look like a complete creep, moron, dumb fuck. I don't even know how else to say it. I mean, we all have a familiarity with each other. We're all jest, and we all kind of know where the line is to jest, okay? And I mean, people can jest, like, for example, Joe, I could probably say whatever the fuck I want to him. He's not going to care, right? I can tell him I want to fuck him up the ass. He'll be like, okay, come over Wednesday. So, I mean, we all understand.
Now, hold on, Steve. You remember I told you
Tuesday night.
You have to take me out first, and then.
Yeah, I know. McDonald's to you doesn't cut it though. Okay, so I mean, sorry. What do you want? I mean,
what if you bust out your freaking Monopoly game coupons, looking all suave?
Yeah, look at this. I got Monopoly money.
You spend a full.
I would treat you to a Big Mac.
Oh, yeah. Everyone savor that for a moment.
Yeah. I got your Big Mac ready.
Okay, I'm done.
But I mean, for C. Brown to do it, and then all of a sudden, like, talk about your marriage. What the fuck? I mean, who does that? I mean, that is weird.
How old is C. Brown?
About 6.
What? About 6? I'm not sure how old.
Sounds like.
I'm like, how much of this can we just pin on him being an awkward, like, youthful person, to just someone who more so than just he's not interested in even bothering to
that was just creepy.
All right.
People who, as I said to him, people who come on to strange married women on the internet, we have a name for them, and that name is pervert.
That's well taken. I mean, if the person who the come on is still feeling this, there's no excuse.
And the thing is, I mean, when I say strange married women, they don't come much stranger than me.
I mean, we don't even know if you have legs.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh, dang it, I have my bandwidth down.
Got my legs, look.
Okay. Oh, that could just be a captive.
That
That
could
could
be
be
a
a
captive.
captive.
Yeah. Oh, right. Have you got any idea what that hangout might have been called? It's taken all my time just to fire up my laptop.
Oh, the one I stopped looking.
Yeah, the one you're looking for.
I doubt I'll be able to give you an actual name of it.
Oh,
I can't find it on both his channels though. On True TV.
Yeah, I know. I'm not looking online.
What are you looking?
Hard drive.
Oh, you might have downloaded it?
I've used up 500 gigs on downloads.
Wow. I could tell you when it was.
Sorry,
maybe.
I lost connection. So if I lose connection for more than 5 minutes, then I'm not coming back. I've been having power outages. I don't know why. Just FYI.
Fiona, it might be I could tell you the date, so maybe you can narrow down
Give me
when
the
it
date.
occurred.
Give me the date.
Let me find it.
So that debate has already reached 342 views.
That's
Excellent.
actually pretty decent. Well, we had 70 some odd people watching, so yeah, that sounds about right.
And 35 likes, no dislikes. That's...
Well, the CCP hasn't got there yet.
They're a bit slow tonight.
But nobody's commenting. I don't understand.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that, otherwise I'll jinx it.
Yeah, comment, people. People need to comment. It helps. It helps the algorithm if people comment on a video.
I mean, I've got
By the way,
downloads here. Nadia, anti-Stardust whirlwind Nadia.
It was
2014.
Dang. It was on his channel.
Right.
And I uploaded my video on February 4th, 2016.
Right. Was that the same day it happened?
No, I think it was a few days earlier because I didn't get it. But the thing is, he only uploaded our video after that.
Right.
So
okay.
within a week of that time is probably, if you downloaded it, that's probably where you're going to see it.
I don't think you should worry about lack of comments. Presumably, it's only just sorted itself out anyway. So presumably, it's not been processing. It's only just processed it, presumably.
How long was it?
3 hours and 55 minutes and 19 seconds.
A little longer than I had wanted, but most of that was pulling teeth.
Yeah, an hour just after getting to say, does this pattern look like this other pattern? Oh, don't know about that. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't.
Well, I'm at least trying to get people, right? I mean, if people say, they can say, oh, well, Steve has foot in the ground people. Well, at least I'm trying to get people, right? So,
yeah, I think
Paul is an author. He wrote books on this. I mean, not very good one, but he's an author and he does have a pamphlet. So, I mean, obviously there's people that in the community, he does know these people. He does work, writing with Humphreys and them. He does know them, yes.
Yeah, every little rung, Steve, every little rung. Get by rung,
I mean,
step by
he
step.
knows Ian Juby, like really close to Ian Juby. And I said, well, freaking have Ian Juby come in.
Oh, right, yes, I'd love that.
Trees.
One of those points I was absolutely loving to talk about, the Ian Juby one.
Yeah, he won't. Ian Juby's a coward.
Right. And he's a flat earther, of course, isn't he? God. Oh, Jesus. He wrote that book, 200 Reasons to Believe in a Flat Earth, I think, book.
George, did you just ask in the group chat who's Ronnie?
Yes.
George, really? You don't know who Ronnie is? Ronnie's True Empiricism. Does that ring a bell? No. True Empiricism is a intelligent design advocate that literally thinks he knows more than actual people with an education.
You liar.
He basically has demonstrated that if it comes to science, he's wrong. He has literally about 100% track record of being absolutely wrong in everything he's ever said when it came to science. It's almost the point of statistically impossible. He by now should have gotten something right, but he hasn't. I don't know what it is.
Hey, Joe, was it by any chance called Joe Sonseed and I Have a Chat?
Joe, that actually sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, sounds like it to me. You're looking for the Ronnie Jolly Sonseed hangout.
Yep.
What date was it? Because I thought it was like back in last November or something.
Yeah, I think that sounds like it. Yeah.
4/2/2016. Joe, was that the name of it?
Yeah, I think that's it actually, and I think about 10 minutes in, Joe starts talking about cards and things and how you Bayesian bollocks.
Okay.
Oh, he's AFK, but yeah, it sounds right. It actually
I
sounds
need
like
Joe, please give us an answer.
Joe.
What was the date?
The 4th. I've got this as a download on the 4th of February 2016.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Do is go to his channel and see if he has a video about Joe around that time.
Well, no, he took it down apparently.
Yeah, if it's not there, then on that or around that date, it's probably that video.
Well, let's wait for Joe to get back. Because I mean, yeah, you can look around that video, but I mean, I hid so many videos they could have more than one chat. But I'm pretty sure that's probably it.
Has he got worse just recently? Because every hangout I've seen a couple recently, gone to look at them, and he's deleted them.
Yeah.
Just moments after the hangout. What's the point of that?
Oh shit!
Well, probably because most of the time he realizes he comes across as a total doofus.
No, he doesn't. No, that's the one thing he doesn't do.
Yeah, I know.
Think.
I'm trying to be funny, but you're right. He doesn't. He doesn't realize he's not.
Self-awareness 0.
Back in a sec, guys.
Yeah. George, TheRumpus was the one that Ronnie was the one that kept on saying that DNA degrades in water. Like you put DNA in water, it just falls apart. That was the funniest thing any of us ever heard. And for a year, we actually tried to explain to him that it doesn't happen, including bringing in PhDs in biochemistry to explain to him it doesn't happen that way. And he still adamantly thinks that everybody's wrong except for him. The guy's a rock
and the visualization of actually seeing DNA in water in a paper.
You guys actually should have a picture.
Right,
hey, Joe.
Yeah, I'm jealous of Joe's starfish. So.
Yeah.
Fiona.
Yeah, that was
it
papers.
Was it called Joe Sonseed and I have a chat?
How long is it? Because I think that must be it.
Hold on, I'll see. I don't know how long it is.
That's the only time we actually talked. If it's only like 12 minutes, then yeah, that's not it. But
oh dear. Okay.
Yeah, it was about 45, 50 minutes or something, wasn't it?
I'll have a look.
Steve, would this Ronnie then be fairly young, or is he just incredibly ignorant?
Both.
is he young? I don't. Is he?
Yeah, mid-20s, I guess.
Oh no, he must be older than that, isn't he?
He looks older. Actually,
Yeah.
I was recently. I saw.
Well, I don't know.
Lexley.
I have no idea. I thought it was like mid to late 20s.
No, he looks like a.
No, this
30 to me.
this is over an hour long, Joe.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
that's got to be it. If you
Yeah.
can upload it and I could download it, that would be awesome, Fiona.
Doing it right now.
Joe, after you get it, will you let us know if that is the thing?
Yeah, and I'll let them know. I'll go, even though you deleted it from your Hangout, in case people want to watch it, see why you deleted it. They can go ahead and look on my channel.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah,
Thanks, Fiona.
when you had asked about Ronnie, we're not even exaggerating. Ronnie literally is so bad at science, it's disgusting. And what's worse is he has these people in the community, the Young Conqueror Posse, that actually think that he's right, and they know science worse than he does. And when you ask them, well, why is Ronnie right? They're all like, oh, I don't know. Okay.
To my surprise,
no
Steve, in my debate with True yesterday, he actually said, "Oh, I do see evidence for the Big Bang." I don't know if you noticed that.
You know, he said that before.
And everyone.
He's not a
suddenly
young
shut
Earth
up.
creationist.
He's not a young
Brown
Earth.
and Antonia, they all shut up when he said that.
Well, here's the funniest part, right? If you ever get in a wild hair up your ass, start pitting them against each other, and they'll be like, "Well, young Earth creationism isn't a salvational thing; it has nothing to do with anything." And yet, you're that one person who's always going to be like, "Well, yeah, it is. Hovind says it's salvational." And then when you say, "Well, you guys can't even agree on the age of the Earth. Do you think we're going to trust you on anything else?" You know, that's something as simple as that. I mean, that's it's a huge point of contention. If you have one person who thinks all of science is wrong, and the other person's like, well, science is right, but so is intelligent design. That's two very different viewpoints, and I don't understand how they make such strange bedfellows.
Do you think I was a bit too technical in my scalar spectral index to Paul?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't even see it, but you
guys are
described it.
Yeah, I'm not
was
even
gonna-
familiar with that. I know what the CMB, and I know it's 2.76 plus or minus a small amount, and there should be a scalar index that you're referring to, but I don't know that the technical
Got some
procedure on the lambda. Yeah, but who studies lambda CDM? I mean, I have a very tertiary understanding of it.
Okay.
But I understand that you have to have it for hyperinflation, and he's trying to say basically.
Well, I gave him a limit. I said I try to be as simple as possible. If you have exactly 1.0, you have no hyperinflation. But if you have 0.95, then it's sort of linear. But if it's a complex, exponential inflation, then 0.96, 0.97, and that's what the experiment showed.
No, I believe it's in line with the model, sure, but I believe in hyperinflation that happened, sure. That is one way to explain the cosmic.
But isn't that technically the so we're not just giving theoretical models. I was actually showing him an empirical proof. Like, look.
Right, but he's not an astrophysicist, and so he's not going to be able to interpolate that and understand it. Right, you're basically talking chicken scratch to him. He's not. He's looking at going, sure, whatever. If you would have brought that up to somebody like Hugh Ross, he would understand it. If you bring it up to somebody like Humphreys, he would understand it. But you can't bring it up to somebody like Paul, who has no concept of even basic.
That's true. Okay.
We realize his scientific level is pretty low.
I mean, he did go down to the Big Bang root and then got destroyed, I guess, on that.
Well, I don't understand how you can say, well, I accept Big Bang cosmology to a point, but then say it's 7,000 years old. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And he's so fixated on the singularity, and yet when he starts talking about breaking down the second law of thermodynamics, well, first of all, the big picture, he is correct on one thing. We have no idea what the laws of physics were like at that time. No idea. But we don't speculate, say, well, it violates anything. It could have. It could have violated a lot of the laws of physics, but that's just speculation.
Have you guys ever thought of going down this track? It's one of the arguments that's used against either fine-tuning or intelligent design. But the idea is, look, if you're going to use fine-tuning arguments, you're accepting what modern science says about these things. You're accepting what modern science says about the beginning of the universe, what it says about chemistry, physics, all that stuff. So it's weird that, especially if you're a younger creationist, that you're going to be, using this argument that accepts what modern science says, but then affirm probably the dumbest thing ever, that the world is 6,000 years old. Because all that science that you're using to support your fine-tuning argument goes against the idea that the Earth is 6,000 years old. So you're gonna have to look. You can't use a fine-tuning argument if you think the Earth is 6,000 years old.
It's the most selective cherry picking of any group of people in the world.
Yeah.
It's flat earthers and young earthers. They'll take it. They'll take the data when it seems to fit them, but then they just throw it away when it doesn't.
Yeah.
But you're right. How could you say all the evidence of science shows a fine-tuned universe, but at the same time it doesn't show a young Earth universe? Well, then it can't be right according to their model.
Yeah, I mean,
they can't have it both ways.
The whole point of the fine-tuning argument now is to show that it's that having your belief that there's a God behind the design of the universe is consistent with modern science. And so, well, that's one of the reasons why it's used, especially now with this guy named Robin Collins who uses the argument. So he actually even disagrees with intelligent design, because part of the fine-tuning is that it's ultimately fine-tuned for what are called embodied moral agents. It's you and I. We're able to make like moral decisions, that kind of stuff. That's what the universe is fine-tuned for. But if that's the case, then you have to accept science all the way up to like evolutionary biology, because that's what's given rise to embodied moral agents like ourselves. So if you're going to accept fine-tuning, you're going to have to get rid of intelligent design. If you want to accept intelligent design, then you're going to have to argue against fine-tuning. These people, they don't understand like the ramifications of the arguments that they use.
Because they only want to pick and choose the arguments that suit their arguments, that suit their narrative.
Yeah.
No, I see what you're saying. I get that. How can we have moral agency? Because the line of thought through intelligence line, at least there is biological processes in ID. ID does say there's biological processes. They admit that we actually have some lineage, but where they want to draw the line is that they want to say, well, intelligence did that.
Well, they also want to draw it on common descent. But how else are you going to explain that all this fine tuning over like 13 billion years will eventually lead to us without accepting common descent?
Well, I'll give you the answer Paul gave. I don't know. Ask God.
Oh, good point.
Yeah. Shut us down. I don't know. Ask God. Okay. That was the strangest answer I've heard. I don't know. Ask God. Well, my question is asked to you because you're the person coming in here to talk about the science. I'm not asking God right now. I'm sure if God was here, he would answer, but he's not.
Yeah. I mean, do you think if he thinks that that's like a sufficient response, then presumably when he did ask God these questions, God gave him an answer. We're asking him, what's his answer then? Can you at least tell us what God says?
Or are you going to say God kept it from him? No, he doesn't necessarily have the answers from God.
Then why would God
He was
not...
without a lot of answers, dude. A lot of answers. He didn't have. Wasn't even close.
I know, 6,000 years old. The dog was domesticated before that.
Well, it's not. You know, it's funny. The 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 again. He'd never addressed and never. And I would be surprised as a mathematician doesn't understand that if you're suggesting a 10,000 year old model, and you're getting results around 30,000 or even 40,000, your model's shot, dude. You're like way out of the line of statistical probability there for your standard deviations. You're way off your curve. And so I don't know where he's getting this idea. What's closer to ours than yours? Well, this isn't a zero-sum game, right? This isn't, it's closer to our model than your model. It's either your model works or our model works, and either one works or they both work. Those are the options. Well, even though they might be mutually exclusive, but the ones, which ones work? Well, we can show our models work. You're just assuming that they don't. You're just saying that they don't. But you're just throwing this bad science out there, saying, well, carbon dating is look at it, must be wrong. Well, no, there's other explanations of why we're getting these results. And they don't look at any of those other explanations because it doesn't fit their model either. At both, they make an argument for, hey, evolution and young Earth creation is wrong. That's the best argument they could make, and they would be wrong for it. But at least that would be the most viable one, don't you think? If I'm getting results that's neither one of them, it should be both models are wrong.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Joe, let us know if that's the right one. I'm curious.
I can't. Him and I, we never talked. That was the only time we.
Well, he sure hates you.
Yeah, right. It's pretty funny, but.
Damn that Joe Sonsteed. Damn him. Damn him all to hell.
He won't even let me publish. Like, he won't even publish my comments. Like, I published a comment saying.
Yeah.
Look, I don't understand why you keep on saying that I'm going to be complaining about you being mean to me. Most of my complaints have been that you're clueless about the arguments. I don't know.
Well, I thought you talked to him.
When I got blocked, it was for a comment which explained the chemistry of amino acids. That got me blocked. That was a comment underneath one of his videos. And it was just explaining something about amino acids. And then the next thing I knew, he was claiming that he'd actually done it because I was a Nazi.
Because what?
I was a Nazi.
Because you were a Nazi?
Yeah, do you not remember that wonderful video that he made? Saying that the reason that he blocked me, Hogtie, Sam, and everybody who's blocked from comment on his YouTube channel, he called them Nazis.
That's not the best way to go about saying why you're censoring other people. To say,
well, yeah, he had to actually take that video down and edit it.
Yeah, it's technically not censoring. You're not being censored when somebody else's channel. You're just being blocked. But you're controlling the flow of conversation.
Yeah,
controlling the flow of what.
There's a better way of saying it. You're right.
Yeah, and it's funny is that they literally have nobody left to even comment anymore. If you look at actually his videos, he's got 4 people commenting, 4 people in there, and the same people all the time. There's no interest. Even his Hangouts had like 12 people watching, at most anymore. He basically went to shit.
Yeah.
I had 70 people watching the debate. He hasn't had that numbers this year, I don't think.
No.
Well, I mean, I don't care about numbers, to be honest. Because the one video that I put a load of effort into, my numbers are doing fine on. Thank you very much. I'm now up at 23,000.
Yeah, but it shows a trend. It shows a trend, though. It's not so much the numbers. It shows that literally, if you look at his numbers,
exactly,
it's going down. Ours are going up. That's all that matters. Yep. The numbers themselves are irrelevant. It's the trend that's important.
Mm-hmm. Is that the right one, Joe?
I can't see it on your. Is it just on Fiona Robertson?
No. Shh. Hold on a minute. Seriously. Right. Hold on.
Wait, what?
I'll get a link for you.
Oh, okay. It's on a. Okay.
Has anybody noticed that YouTube is being a pain in the neck at the moment? When that big advert goes across the top of the page and everything just slows down.
I haven't had a problem yet. No, I was having a weird problem that I was using this little, it's a little mini Wi-Fi thing. And for some reason, it dropped down to like 1 megabit per second. I'm like, what the hell? I put a different one on, an N300 that I have, and now he's back to normal, about 11, 12 megabytes or megabits per second. But I don't know what the hell that this thing just dropped down, because I was getting everything. I was going to my YouTube and everything was like freezing every second. And that just in my download speed, and it was horrible. So maybe your download speed sucks because everything was freezing.
No, I don't think it's. I think it's maybe the Chromebook. Maybe it's to do with memory, because I can't have all sorts of windows open. I can't have the live chat. Everything just slows down if I do that.
Well, it could be memory, it could be bandwidth, it could be a lot of things.
No, it's not bandwidth, because the laptop is going with the clappers easily.
Do you have any?
It's only the Chromebook that's doing this. And it's only since I got the new Chromebook.
My computer, when I was using this, for some reason was fine, but all of a sudden one day it stopped going very fast. Maybe you.
Well, this has been like this ever since I had to get a new one.
Yeah, Chromebook's usually pretty good though.
I know. I mean, my last one. Remember, it was a standing joke. If I did a screen share, how many windows I had open across how many tabs I had. Now, if I'm in a Hangout, I can have maybe 3 tabs open, and if I want to refresh my G Plus, and I hit the refresh button, it can take up to 5 minutes.
Yeah, something's wrong. You might want to check for malware or something. You may have installed something because something's slowing down your system.
No, that's the thing. You don't usually get that on a Chromebook.
No, but something's slowing it down. But you're right. I've been there. I remember the days where I only have three tabs open. Remember that? Yeah.
See, my Chromebook died, right? So I got a new Chromebook, and when I went onto that new Chromebook, that's when the trouble started. But then it died. Something went wrong with the charging thing, and I took it back and I got a replacement. And the replacement was just as slow straight out the box. So I'm convinced it's just the power of the thing.
Could be.
It's doing my head in. But is that the right one, Joe?
Did you watch the beginning, Joe?
I was just about to say yeah, just by looking at the picture. Then I remembered he only had it audio only, so I don't know why I would say yes. Let me listen to it.
It's 1 hour 38 minutes long.
I think it probably is it. I mean, again, we only had to talk once, but hold on.
The date is right. So
I'm downloading it now. So
why do you think he made it private? Just out of curiosity, what was so bad in there? I mean,
look, this is what I said to him. He was being a complete prick to me, to the point where Cliff was telling me that people on his side were going, he is not acting. He's being a complete jerk to this guy. And so I told him, I'm like, look, if you're embarrassed by your behavior in there and that's why you want to take it down, I can actually understand that, because I wouldn't like it if there's a video of me just acting like a complete douchebag and I'm embarrassed of my behavior. I wouldn't like it if it was up there. But he's not going to admit that. And
I watched it. I remember watching it.
Yeah.
I remember the only thing I gleaned out of it is that you were trying to make some cases, you know, and talk about those things, and he basically was just being a pompous ass to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you were trying to,
Yeah.
you were being very civil, but he was very, very pompous. Was that the one I was remembering?
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, that was, I guess, a long time ago. I was surprised that, like, he would mute me and stuff, and I wouldn't catch it because I was so surprised that he's actually muting me on something. And then he would not understand basic things, but then say just like, that was back when it was easier to get me sidelined. Like I think I got too upset by him muting me and everything. I should have just kept on going. But the problem is I can't do that anymore because now he won't debate me. And he runs away from me.
Did you guys notice I didn't have to mute anybody in this last debate? Paul got plenty of time to talk. Nobody had to get muted, you know.
Yeah, but in a way, I'm starting to, because this is how my brain works. I start to like replay it in my mind, and I'm thinking we did a great job. But think about it, Steve. It was three versus one, really. Even though you were meant to moderate.
I know that, and I you know, but I told him that going in, and he said, you know, because Lawrence wasn't going to show, I said, do you want to find somebody else? He said, no, I'm fine. I'll go and you know, talk to all you guys, and you guys can all like do it. So I made him very clear that, you know, we could postpone or he could get somebody else. And my only thing was, again, I want people to answer questions, and he just wasn't giving. Good, bad, or different. I just wanted something he could say. Okay, well, you know what? It's because of this. Let's look at this genome site. Let's look at something. Give us something we can look at. And nothing was ever provided.
Now, does he have direct connections with Russell Humphreys and Kevin Anderson and all these guys?
Yes.
So they'll probably look at the debate then, and
I don't know. He may
you don't think so?
If they do, they probably won't be interested. They probably think we treated him very harshly.
Even though I took, like, for example, when I made those charts in MATLAB.
Maybe I'll message him tomorrow and I'll ask him if he wants to. I said forward it to everybody. So the other creationists barely wanted to go out in the limelight to talk about these things anyway. So I'm not holding my breath that they're going to see this and go, okay, well, we're going to address these things. They hide in their little caves. It's only the older creationists will be like, oh yeah, we'll talk about this stuff because they're talking about the science pretty much the same way as anybody else. But the younger creationists, they don't want to talk about the science because when they talk about the science with people, they get creamed every single time.
Right.
Because I was waiting for him to bring up Steve Austin. I was going to, at that point, turn over to Fiona and say, hey, you mind if I invite Fiona in here to talk about Steve Austin and Matt St. Helens? But he never went that route. Because we were near the end.
Yeah, you're adding like now 4 people on there.
Well, I was going to invite more people. I told him near the end I invite people in and they have a kind of a open discussion.
But like an audience Q&A sort of thing, right?
Right.
Oh, for goodness sake. I've tried my selling notes.
But no, I don't think it would have much. I don't think it would have been much better with Lawrence. I really don't. But it would have been different. But.
I'll be honest with you, Steve. I actually do feel bad for Paul. Like,
I don't think he cares.
You don't think he cares?
No, I don't think he realized how bad he looked and how he just.
Yeah, but that's why it's cognitive dissonance for me then, because I know we've thoroughly made him look stupid. Really, I mean, think about it. It's no one believes
that's not the intent
in any professional environment. It's like,
yeah, that's not the intent, but that's the way it usually ends up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, good grief.
Fiona, you're not even on camera. What are you doing?
Oh. Well, I'm back to classic.
I think she's having computer issues.
Yeah, she's having computer issues. Oh, thank goodness for that.
Yeah,
that's what happens when you sign out of G+. You go back in and it's that newfangled thingy. What's it?
But definitely don't build feel bad for Paul. He's been through other debates, but
no, has he
I think he
debated?
only had. Yeah, he's done debates before. Yeah, I mean, he kept mentioning his debate from like 2003.
Against who?
Oh, I don't remember the guy's name. I didn't care. But yeah, he's done this before. Yeah, this is not his first rodeo.
Okay. Since 2003, all right. He's had 13 years to keep up to standard, keep up, follow the material, follow the peer-reviewed research. We were actually, I'm recollecting what we've been going through. We were going from the 90s all the way up to 2014. All the papers I was presenting, like even the paper by Mary, just in March. How up to date we were in regards to the dinosaur bomb.
Oh, he had never seen that before. Never seen it, and he's talked to Mary Schweitzer.
Yeah, but you would think that he would know. Yeah, but maybe that's just me though.
Well, I mean, we were trying. For example, when we talked about the human chromosome number 2, we actually started off with a paper from like 1882 or something, just the G banding alone, right? Back before they even did the sequence.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even make it past that. And it was like, I kind of was thinking that Rumpus was doing a step-by-step thing. Look, you asked about the gene lineaments. So look, we can show that the banding's the same. Okay, moving on to the next step. Let's show that it's a telomere to telomere. Then let's show the sequence.
Then he agreed that, oh yeah, I do see like pretty much identical,
Yeah, and then he started talking. Yeah, somebody mentioned the side thing. What does a baculum have to do with anything? I thought he had mentioned that to me again in a private hangout that I had with him the other day. And I had told him, I said, I knew what it was.
Oh,
but I was like,
was he the one that you were having I thought you were chatting with Troy.
No, I was having a hangout with Paul a couple days ago.
Oh.
Yeah. Like several hours, just him and I, an offline hangout.
Okay.
So we had already been through all this stuff. And I pointed out to him that
Troy.
No. I haven't never talked to Troy except for an email. He sent an email out once.
No, I thought because when you told me, what you told me when you had the chat, it's like, well, it makes sense because I thought you were talking about Troy, but okay, you're talking to Paul.
Yeah. What does the penis bone have to do with anything? I tried to explain to him atavisms, and he didn't quite understand. He used that same old young Earth creationist crap, like, oh well, at one time we thought the appendix didn't have a function. Well, so what? A vestigial organ doesn't mean it has no function. It just means its function wasn't the original one. He's like, well, that just means they changed the meaning. No, well, that's how it's always been, dude. I don't know where they get this. They get so indoctrinated by the narrative that they actually never go validate to see if any of this stuff is correct.
They've been indoctrinated by the strawman arguments by people who don't understand them.
Exactly. And I asked before, I said, show me where anytime you have a vestigial organ, that it basically is an organ that has no function. Your thyroid is vestigial, but it still has a function, obviously. It still regulates your hormones. Without thyroid. Yeah, the thyroid has hormones. Yeah, measures your T3, T4.
No, you said
it's a vestigial organ.
Vestigial?
Yeah, it's a combination of multiple organs that have come together over a period of time.
I would be struggling to call it a vestigial organ.
It's considered to be a vestigial organ. Because it doesn't have the original function it did over a period of time. It's changed.
Steve, you impress me sometimes.
How so?
You're like a library of information.
No, that's Jade. That's Jade. She's a god. She's amazing at her. Oh
yeah.
But I mean, I like to be varied, right? Because I like a lot of different kinds of branches of science. So I like to know a little bit about a lot of different subjects, right?
So do you think, just again to recollect on the debate, I thank God I woke up in time because I woke up 15 minutes before it's meant to start. And
wow.
if I wasn't there, you guys wouldn't have had the whole charting and you know.
Oh, I love your research.
I just noticed somebody's asked in the live chat, what is Fiona doing?
Fixing her computer, I think.
Yeah, I'll show you what I was actually attempting to do. That blasted rattle had come back. You remember the post I put up that I cured my rattle by hitting it with a staple gun? Well, the rattle came back. It was one of the problems I was having while I was off camera. And I was using this big stick to hit it.
A rattle? What's rattling?
My laptop.
You don't hit... You're hitting your laptop.
Yes.
But you that'll make it worse.
No, it doesn't. You see, the last time, this blasted rattle, and I keep taking it to bits and taking out the cat hair and all the rest of it, but this time it wasn't curing it. And it kept coming back. And after 3 hours of hunting it down, I lost the plot completely. And I belted it with a staple gun. And the rattle went away.
That could have been, is that a fan issue? Like the cooling issue?
I think it's the fan's just catching a bit of fluff somewhere. And I couldn't be bothered taking it to bits. I couldn't be bothered taking it to bits again. And then just after I finally got back to classic there, and then it started rattling again. So I picked up my stick and I hit it. And that's what I was doing. And the rattle has stopped. It's running side. Look, I'll show you.
What is it an Apple laptop or is it just a regular laptop?
Hold on, I'm typing a note. Right.
Because,
can you see laptop is functioning?
okay.
Look, see the screen? Laptop is functioning.
Yeah, could be.
So I haven't killed it.
What I was thinking, it could be a hard drive, but maybe laptop hard drives are too small for that sort of sound to make. And
no, it's not the hard drive because it's when the fan kicks in.
Yeah.
So it's something to do with the fan.
Oh, it's the rattle that obviously annoys you.
The rattle does my head in, and I spent 3 hours looking for it. The other day, I was trying to find out whereabouts it was coming from.
No, it's
I suspected the fan.
It would be.
And so I was listening to one side, and then I was trying to listen to the other side, and that would help me locate it. But every time I moved, the rattle would go away. So I'd only hear it in one place, and then I'd move, and the rattle would stop. And I had 3 hours of bouncing around, trying to hear it from 2 different positions. And I could take no more, so I hit it with the staple gun. And the rattle went away. Whoa! What's wrong with that? It worked.
No, it's amusing because it's if you know, it's an Australian point of view actually. If it doesn't, if fine meticulous repair doesn't do it, just smack it and it'll work.
we call
what I did.
Yeah, we called it enhanced mechanical agitation.
Enhanced mechanical agitation. That's funny.
Maybe that's how we fix things. Enhanced mechanical agitation.
Specified sequential mechanical impact.
Yeah, hit it with your baculum. Whack.
So somebody said it's rattling because you're hitting it. No, it's not. I only hit it when it rattles.
Hey doctor, it hurts when I walk like this. Well, don't walk like that.
All right, now what to discuss? There's nothing else to discuss.
Yeah, we might as well just forget about Hangouts from now on. We've ran the gamut. We've talked about every subject imaginable. Let's see here. Jade is still talking about the thyroid. See, what I remember, Jade, there was some textbooks that list 200 vestigial organs. The thyroids, not the parathyroids. The parathyroids are like 4 little things in the thyroid itself. But the thyroid and the pituitary were both mentioned as vestigial organs text prior to the 1960s. So they were listed as a list of vestigial organs. Now, it's really kind of, do you want to call them vestigial? The thymus, yes, that was considered vestigial as well.
Thymus, I could go along with, but I'm struggling with the thyroid.
Well, that was part of the 200 list that was out there that they used to have in textbooks that was considered to be vestigial. And the parathyroids, depending on I read something on Apologetics Press that the parathyroids they can say are not vestigial. But again, the creationists are going to say that nothing's vestigial, right? They don't think that anything's vestigial because they don't believe in vestigial organs. But if you define vestigial just to mean something that's changed its original function, then why would they not be? Now, I don't know exactly what the parathyroids do. I don't remember. I just remember it. But and Jay says they may not be considered to be vestigial now, and it might be true. I mean,
I don't think they are.
But I was when I was growing up, I remember reading that the pituitary gland was considered vestigial. But again, maybe it's just a matter of terminology more than anything else. And let me ask, why is my pop filter on the side of your mic not facing my mic is right here. This is how I'm talking, Tyler. My pop filter is right here on my mic. Maybe it's just the way this oriented, but I'm looking at no, if you look at it, this is actually here. Let's see. It's just the way you're it's there, it's right. Trust me.
But to be fair, Steve, when you were growing up, you wrote your term papers on rocks.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, we all got a little apicus, and we had papyra, and we had to make our own ink too. It was really cool. You squirted stuff from what do they call it? A squid. And we had to make a little ink. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think we're all vestigial, anyways. Humans are vestigials. We're just repurposed reptiles.
Well, quite. Oh. No, I just cannot go with the thyroid being vestigial.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was listed. That's one of the creationist arguments. Is that in older textbooks they had listed the thyroid as being a vestigial organ. If you go to some pages on creationism, they list that in the pituitary. Now that's considered to be changed. Now I accept that, but it was at one time in textbooks as listed as vestigial, according to creationists. And I thought that was. Well, I thought it was too. I thought I remember learning it in school as they were vestigial. But we'll give us something to look into later. I'm not going to really deal with it right now, but yeah, we'll look into it.
I mean,
I think it goes to the term vestigial, what it means. What does it mean to me?
Yeah, I mean, I think in very old textbooks, when they didn't know what it did, they may have thought it was vestigial from something else. But
what do they consider a vestigial organ now? Like appendix is still vestigial, even that's changed its function, right? That's still considered a vestigial organ, is it not?
Well, it's also an organ you can live without.
Well, does vestigial mean you have to something that you can't live without?
Sorry?
I don't think so. Vestigial doesn't necessarily mean that you can't live without it.
No, it would be the opposite. Nobody's claiming that vestigial means it's crucial.
Okay.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, I thought this meant that something has no longer its original function. Yeah, we need our tailbone. But the coccyx is still a vestigial organ, isn't it? Or not organ, but vestigial bone.
Vestigial tends to be thought of as a remnant of something that was a more complex and functioning organ.
But isn't the coccyx considered to be vestigial?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Jade says it is. I don't know. I will look into this stuff later. I really don't want to look into it now, but I will look into it and get back to you.
What do creationists say about individuals who are sometimes born with a vestigial tail? It does happen.
It's two types. Yeah, but there's one that's just a bunch of adipose. It's just a fatty thing, and that's not really a true tail. And there's other ones that actually have bone and cartilage. That's a genetic thing. So it depends on what type of one you're talking about. They both exist, yes. But those are atavisms.
But what is the creationist response?
Well, if they're just talking about the fatty ones, then they might have a point. But the fact remains that the ones that actually do have some cartilage in there clearly are remnants of something that we had a long time ago. It actually is a gene that's causing that. Instead of being absorbed in our embryonic stage, we have that little tail, but it's not being absorbed.
Annabelle's just said in the live chat. This is brilliant. So what's a vestigial virgin?
What did she write? What are you talking?
She said, so what is a vestigial virgin? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Is that like a Catholic thing? Is that a like a Catholic? Isn't it like a vestige or something? What do they call a Catholic?
No, the Vestal virgins.
A Vestal version. That's it. Yeah, the Vestal version.
Yeah. Forget. See, when you have to explain somebody's joke, it's
I didn't get it, so explain it. Yeah. You thought it was funny.
I thought it was funny.
Okay, they're called Vestal virgins.
Yeah.
We are talking about vestigial things.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, and Annabelle says, so what is a vestigial virgin?
I get it.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny this way.
I did my best, Annabelle. I really did.
Yeah.
Annabelle's like, I made a joke and 3 people get it.
I think Steve's brain is about fried by now.
Oh shit! Right? Yeah, we're wondering if men's nipples are vestigials now. I don't know. Ask G-Man.
No. You squish mucus out of them and you navigate in the dark.
Yeah, it's for sensory perception, for depth, for like navigation.
I could not believe it when he said that men's nipples were analogous to cat whiskers.
Why does nothing surprise us anymore?
No,
I mean, seriously.
No, really?
Yes,
really.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, she's not even exaggerating.
I'm not. He said they were analogous to cat whiskers, that men used them the same way that cats use their whiskers, and it was spatial orientation.
Now, I want to know, where in the world did he read that from? He's not bright enough to even make that shit up. He's not even that creative. So where did he get that from? Or did he literally smoke some dope, trip some acid, and get creative? I don't know.
No, this is.
And then he also pointed out that
from bug poop.
Yeah, and also that they exude mucus to cleanse your system.
Oh well, I mean, if there's a point that yes, we have vestigial nipples. You can have little things that go down. If I'm wrong, you have going down from the breast line down to the groin. You have various line on both sides that you can have nipples kind of form on. Those are mammary lines, right? Do I remember something?
Yep, and
I don't know why I know this shit. I have no idea why.
Some women do have a third nipple, and it can be in strange places.
One of them has it on the bottom of their foot.
We're not come across that, but I have come under the armpit.
Seems
the maxillary line went all the way down, and we actually went down to the foot, and she actually had a nipple going on the bottom of the foot. And another one was on the side of the thigh, and I'm like, wow, that's just weird. So the question was, do you know how young Earth creationists deal with atavisms? No. They basically
probably just deny.
Well, I don't know. Ask God. Yeah, I don't know how they get around it either. I mean, especially for the fact that we can see during the embryonic stages that there's a small tail there. We can actually see. We talked about the pharyngeal pouch too, and gill slits, quote unquote. And I use the term colloquially, but I've actually had people tell me, "Well, we don't have pharyngeal pouches. We don't have the pharyngeal slits when we're young." And I'm like, no. They're misunderstanding the argument, right? Because they're thinking they don't seem to realize that the term gill slit is kind of a misnomer because correct me if I'm wrong, the experts here, but gill slit is only called a gill slit is that after an adult stage, it still remains to be gills. If they're not, then we have the pharyngeal slits for the pouch. So they're not really gill slits because we don't maintain gills in our adult stage. So we don't call them gill slits. Now, the argument is that, we shouldn't call them gill slits, but that doesn't mean we don't have any kind of pharyngeal slits to begin with. And somebody who doesn't look into the claims say, oh, well, that was disproven. We don't have pharyngeal slits in the embryonic stages. Like, we have embryos. We can see that they exist. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't they just kind of misunderstand the argument when they hear that? Oh, yeah, okay.
It all goes back to heckle. And I'm sorry, as soon as they start heckling, my brain just shuts down.
Heckling.
That is heckling. I mean, what he did tonight was heckling.
That was really
He
weird
just
too.
completely off topic. That is heckling.
Yeah, and Jade could have, Jade could have come in at that point and basically reamed his, ass on basically the true story of Haeckel, because she has it memorized. She's done a lot of research on it, and I agree with her. I think she did a wonderful job, and I think she's right, because I don't think he deliberately did anything fraudulent. I think he was just careless. But I've looked at his other drawings. A lot of people don't realize he has hundreds and hundreds of thousands of drawings, and he was a very good artist, even though a lot of people say he was not technically proficient. He was very good at this stuff, But he was talking about the phylogeny ontology recapitulates phylogeny, and he was like, okay, well, that was disproven. Well, so what? That was fine, but it doesn't mean that embryology is wrong. They just throw out the baby with the bathwater kind of shit,
Yeah.
Steve, speaking about embryology, has this community ever had Muslims come in here and try and advocate the Quranic science in light of that?
One. Farhan.
When was that?
Oh, he's never been in. Well, I don't think he's ever really been in here, but he was in naughty rooms quite a bit. Nice guy, very intelligent, very well spoken. I mean, I really like Farhan.
Is he Sufi Muslim?
I don't remember. Joe knows him better than I do, probably.
Okay.
But yeah, he was Muslim, and he doesn't come around too much. But he was, obviously somebody who wasn't naughty his room. But other than that, we don't get too many Muslims. We don't get any Scientologists, which is really surprising.
Okay, it seems to be only young creationists that seem to want to engage, and that's really it.
No, it's not. No, actually, young creationists don't want to engage that much.
No. I meant like the G-mans and that sort of thing. Because
I think removed themselves from the debate.
What's that, Fiona? What?
They've just removed themselves from the debate, I think.
Yeah, well, they kind of, what they did was they said, oh, look, debate's over, we win. And we're like, you guys are idiots. Bye-bye. Go away. We don't want to discuss things with lowbrow dumbasses anymore. I don't even do the flat earth stuff anymore. It's just not of interest to me. But, hey, Jade, real quickly, did my explanation of Haeckel's drawing to him kind of be on par with you always say? That I agree that I don't think that his illustrations were not perfect, but he was just trying to show an illustration. There was no collusion there to be deceptive with him and other people. And it certainly he wasn't advocating really evolution. It really had nothing to do with evolution per se. And there was, she points out that there was multiple drawings that he did. Actually, he actually redid his drawings, did he not, Jade? But anyways, we need. Yes, she says yes. Thank you. We need to get more of a dialogue with more of the studious persons, and unfortunately, they don't come around. Because nobody's going to Ronnie's room anymore. Nobody's engaging with the CCP. And I wish to God Isaiah would stop talking to C. Brown. If he hasn't realized by now, he's not going to get anywhere. We just need to be motivated to get the actual people in here that know something to have a good conversation. That's what I'm looking for to moderate. I want to moderate a really good conversation between somebody like Tompkins and Sam, or Tompkins and CRISPR. I would love to do that. Right? I would just sit back and I wouldn't have to say anything at that point. Those guys could do it themselves, and that's what I want.
Yeah.
So, but is there that many of them around?
No. In this community, I don't know any younger creationists that have any education at all. None.
Try and get. Okay, so like what you just said in the physics context, try and get John Hartnett, or. I honestly speaking, I think people like Danny Faulkner and John Hartnett are the only, in my opinion, qualified. If you're talking about qualified debates, like qualified, with actual PhDs, only those two guys, in my opinion, out of everyone else, are decent enough for that sort of thing.
Well, like I said, if you want to try to get some other people, it's fine. I've messaged a lot of people. I mean, every other day I'm trying to get people to engage. It's a lot more difficult than it sounds.
No. I'm not saying I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying, out of all the young creationists from the physics context, I don't have a high opinion about Russell Humphreys, but I do have a high opinion of John Hartnett and Danny Faulkner. They're the only two I can say.
Yeah, like I said, I would accept any of them to come in. Because at least then we could talk about the topics. Because you never hear these guys actually talk about the science in any form, even in their own little moderated things. They never really talk about it. They'll go on Ian Juby and they'll say, okay, yes. For example, Tompkins was on there and be like, yes, the gene's highly expressed. But when they're asked for any really information, they don't provide any, and so they don't go on any show that they're going to be challenged.
Yeah,
and I've noticed that. I mean, going on Ian Juby, come on, really? That's the show that they go on? Come on.
Anyway, Steve, I'll be right back. I don't know how long you guys been.
I don't know. I don't know how long I'm going to have this hangout. I might just keep it open for other people.
But thanks, Steve, for organizing that.
Thank you, General. You did an amazing job. Sorry, I didn't want to get involved as much as I did, but I felt no.
No, it's technically the umpires are meant to do that. you know.
Yeah.
If he's not answering the questions, and I mean, I wasn't trying to be mean or belligerent, but I said 5 times. My question is, and I would say something like, for example, can you tell us about the DDX11L2 and have you been highly expressed or not? And did you notice that every single answer he had didn't even mention those things? He didn't say anything about expressiveness. He didn't say anything about the gene. How do you answer a question without even remotely addressing what the question entailed? Yeah. How does that even happen?
No, we would just wait. I mean, think about it. 3 of us and him. It's just, yeah.
He held up okay, but believe me, we've been far worse on people.
Well, emotionally he held up, but he was shot.
Do you think that he got to the point where he's like, maybe I don't know this stuff as well as I think I do?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why there's a slight glimpse of an honest type of question. Like, for example, when he asked the question of the Big Bang, like it was one of those. He was like a little child again, asking a question, like teach me, sort of thing.
Well, I knew he was done at that point because I mean, I knew you were going to kind of annihilate him on that. And the fact, again, I pointed out he doesn't understand entropy, which is a common thing among young Earth creationists.
Yeah.
It is a common thing. They just don't get it. They don't understand what it really is. And they sure the hell has never worked with it before.
Anyway, Steve, you guys take care.
Thank you, sir.
And you. Yeah,
Shar, you want to come in, Shar? You can take off too, Fiona?
Yeah, I'm going to have to head for my bed. I'm a tired little person.
Oh, yeah, it's really late at night. I've invited a bunch of the people. They asked for the link. I gave it to them, and then but I don't know. I'll keep it over for a little while longer. But thanks for your input. You had really good questions. I tried to ask him your questions as much as I could, but you can see how well that was.
I know.
Going.
But no, I've been out of the game for really over a week. I've not been well, so.
Yeah, this has been a really low week for everybody. No, not much has been going on. I kind of moved into another room here, so I have a little more soundproof room.
I would say not much is going on.
Well, what do you think's been going on?
Don't judge me, but I needed a fix, so I invited Steve Brown to have a conversation with me.
Oh.
I tell you what, if I ever, when I actually do meet you, Isaiah, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to beat you to freaking death with like right cross, and I'm going to hug you, and then we're going to get drunk together. But I've got to hit you at least once. Okay?
Could you please make sure you hit him with a big stick with a nail in the end?
No. I go just right there. You know what? Because I love you. I won't do the face. You're too beautiful, so I don't want to like mess up his little baby face. But you know, I'm going to hit your arm or something.
Anyway, I'm going to drop out, so I'll see you guys. Take it easy. Be good. And I'm so pleased. I think I've made Joe's night.
Yes, that was good that you found that. Thank you.
Night.
Yeah. But if you guys haven't seen Isaiah, he has like a baby face. It's like.
I think I get it.
Anyways, why do you want
a picture of her one day?
When you
she has a picture of her.
What?
No, what were you gonna say?
When are you going to engage Steve Brown? And is it on Jim's channel or yours?
No, it's on mine.
It's on yours. And when is this?
I was going to do it tonight. It looks like he's not responding. Guess not.
Well, he had plenty of time to go into True's Hangout the other night and talk stupid shit. but he wouldn't like engage with you.
Yeah,
Good night,
I don't know
Ian.
what's
Good
going
night,
on.
Jade.
I had he didn't want to do it when General hosted. I mean, that the excuse he made, he didn't want General to be there. I said, okay. So when I open a room, he doesn't want to do it. I mean, I get it. You know, you don't want to be humiliated in public. That's fine.
Yeah, and wait a minute. It's so funny. The other day you would say, gee, Steve, open a room. C. Brown wants to have a discussion. He said, it's fine. I did. He's like changed his mind, or he said, no, not Steve. And yet he's always saying that he wants to engage with me, and yet he's too scared to have me moderate your hangout. I'm like, what, why? What does he got to worry about me about? All I ever do is point out the fact that he just makes shit up and plagiarizes. You know, but if he wants to talk about the actual science, you're the person to talk with. I won't even get involved in that. You know, because I don't think he actually talks science. I think he talks babble.
Oh, I remember a question the other day regarding why the mitochondria has so little DNA.
What about it? It has very little base pairs compared. Yeah.
Yeah, I found out the reason why. When there are certain bacteria that go inside the cells. I think there's a species of chloroplast that lives inside the amoeba cells. Mm-hmm. What happens is when they go inside the cells, they start to lose genes that they don't need to live inside the cell.
Well, I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but the mitochondria DNA is actually less than the DNA that would have originally been in the anaerobic cells in the initial endosymbiotic event. Whatever it was, whatever got engulfed, that probably had far more base pairs in the mTNA than it does now, correct?
Yeah, in fact, there's a species of cyanobacteria. It's a species. There's a species. It has the smallest amount of DNA of any cyanobacteria. As you would expect, it's inside of an amoeba cell. And I think it said the paper said it has like 27% of the genes that its closest relative has, something like 27% left.
Let me start turning up a little bit. Well, here's an interesting question for you, Isaiah. And I thought about this the other night, and I thought about you. I don't know why. Yes, I was thinking about Isaiah in the middle of the night. Don't judge. If life began on other planets, if life started on other planets, and you had some kind of multicellular organisms, and there are other types of endosymbiosis, what could you imagine other life to be in other cell structures? Because ours are, you know, obviously the way they are. We are multicellular, but we also have inside our cells. Then they live another organism, right? The mitochondria is a remnant of another organism, right? It has its own cell wall. It has its own way of they're doing fission. It reproduces by fission, simple fission, rather than mitosis. And it has its own DNA. So, what would you think?
The same initial amino acid.
Okay, there you go. So there's a lot of things that indicate that it's a different life form that was engulfed. So how would this take place on another planet such that you would have some kind of advanced multicellularity? How would that ever happen? Do you think it'd be something that's common, and that if life does exist out there, there's something going to be very similar to our own but different, but there are going to be some kind of symbiotic things going on? You're going to have some kind of life forms that are multicellular, similar but different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense for it to happen. I mean, if it's happened more than once on Earth. I mean,
you don't think they're going to be human-like, though?
Yeah, of course not. I mean, the most recent, I believe, was in 1967.
With what? An event? Brenda,
I'm sorry.
You're breathing into the mic.
Sorry.
It's okay. Well, the reason I ask is if they're not going to be human, then how do they have the same? How do they have like advanced technology? We have technology we can use because we have, digital. We can build things. We have intelligence. We learned electronics. Do you think an alien race would have any of that? Do you think they'd be able to learn the same processes and develop the same kind of electronics that we have over a period of time? Because the theory is the same, but the application where they know, okay, let's make a little wire, let's wrap it around a coil. We have a magnetic field. Here's a capacitor, and then all of a sudden, eventually, learn to make solid state devices. It's a good question, but I don't have an answer. But I'm just curious.
Well, you'd need a four-legged body plan would seem to be pretty normal, right? I mean, what's the alternative? A tripod?
Well, okay, so you're going for like what's the most energy efficient type thing, kind of efficient structures.
Yeah,
Yeah.
four-legged quadruped is extremely efficient
Okay.
in moving on the land.
Okay.
And then
I would believe that.
in order to become intelligent, you need to stand upright to free at least two of the limbs for manipulating and tool usage.
And that would have to be something that be under conditions that allow for that, though. So we have to have planets that are actually very similar to Earth to allow for that kind of bipedal nature. But I like what you said about the quad being very efficient. And also, I would add to that oh my goodness, I totally forgot I was going with that. There's something I was going to add to that. Oh yeah, we don't have any like round moving parts. Roundness and rotating things are very inefficient. And so if you notice, there's nothing much moving with us. We have like rotator cuff, but we have nothing that spins besides in the actual ATP synthase that spins. That's the only very few things that has any kind of molecular movement in a circular type thing, which I think is kind of interesting. Other species do, but we don't. So some species do. But anyways, weird question, I know. But I'm gonna call it a night, guys.
I suppose the kind of sun you would be under would have an effect, wouldn't it? As far as what if it was instead of just a main sequence type G, if it was a brown dwarf?
Oh, I think all the spectral classes would change. I think it would have depending on a lot of types of things. I mean, your radiation would be different, your exposure, your temperature, the color sensitivity. Yeah, of course. I'm going to be.
Could you have a planet sustain life in orbit around, say, a collapsed sun that's now a white dwarf?
Well, I guess if you're in the habitable range, you could, right? But a white dwarf is going to be very dense, so you're going to have to be pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, white dwarf is held up by electron degenerative pressure, so it's going to be basically condensed matter. So a white dwarf is extremely dense, so you're going to probably have to be a lot closer to the sun to get the heat, and that's going to be a problem because then you're going to be orbiting a lot differently.
Yeah, I suppose.
Really fast, because white dwarf doesn't put up about that much heat. What is it, 3,000 degree Kelvin, something like that for white dwarf? It's not very hot.
So probably on the other end, like a brown dwarf of some kind, or something like that. That would be pretty steady too. They could last for a very long time.
I think it'd be more interesting of how you, like for example, around a red giant would be interesting, or a Wolf Riot star. That would be awesome. Because you have to be quite a distance from it, right? So how would you have a solar system that produce planets that far away from the sun in a habitable range? Because those things are massive. I mean, some of those things are as big as a goddamn solar system. They're huge. But anyways, I think I'm gonna call this a night because I haven't.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, guys, thank you very much for hanging out. I hope you guys really did enjoy that debate. Please go back on that debate and comment on it, what you thought. I like to read the comments, and it does add to the how the algorithm is for the motion of it, so people can see the Patreon and other things because I do survive on my Patreon. So anyway, guys, thank you for coming by. I'm going to have another hangout, not tomorrow probably, but probably Sunday. So okay.